All right, everyone, welcome back to my channel. Again, thanks for always stopping by and checking out the videos, posting a comment if you have a question about something. Today's video, just a little recap. If you watch my other video, 5.7 Hemi motor rebuild, that's on hold for right now. So then I've got the Samurai in the shop here, getting some framework done, replacing some shocks, doing a bunch of just little small things that I've been neglecting over the last couple years. And then I got a call from the customer who had, this is a 2021 CanAm Defender Limited Max. That's the one with the HVAC system and everything on it. You can check out my video on that, on everything that I did installing everything from the toolbox and bed rack here to those backup lights, fender flares, the new tires, all that stuff. So it's back in the shop today. Just a quick, hopefully in and out. It's a service, so we're going to do an oil change, clean out the clutches, change the belt, and just kind of give it a once over. It's hunting season here in North Idaho, so he's going to be going down to Salmon, Idaho to do some hunting, and we'll just want to make sure that everything's working like it should. And this thing has about 2,700 miles on it now, so good time for an oil change, get it all ready to go. So stay tuned, that's what we're going to do. All right, everyone, we're going to start here on the oil change. So first thing is, I'll go through some tools that I use anyway. Ratchet, I got a short extension with a 17 millimeter socket. That's going to take the oil drain plug off. And then I guess you have options here. This is for the oil filter housing. So this is an 8 millimeter ratchet wrench, or I see a lot of guys use the Torx. So if you're going to do that, it's a T30. I already took one of the bolts out here so you can see it is Torx on the inside. And then obviously it's hex sided, so you can use an 8 millimeter, and that's what I prefer to use. I think I've seen a lot of videos where people talk about, using the Torx. The reason I don't, and I'll show you that here in a minute, is because I have a hard time getting the ratchet and the socket with the T30 built into it where the oil filter is. So I've done a little modification. I'll show you that here in just a minute, but I prefer to use just an 8 millimeter ratchet wrench. It's really easy to get to. To me, it's kind of like a space saver. So there's that. When we get to changing the belt, I use a short extension, long extension, swivel sometimes, and then 8 millimeter socket, and then just my rigid impact that helps buzz those clutch cover bolts off pretty fast. And then when I put it all back together, I just hand start those bolts, and then I'll just use the ratchet to finish it off. For oil change, obviously you got to do oil change kit. That's from CanAm itself, and that has everything we're going to need. So up here, show you where the oil filter is. If you don't already know, it's a pain in the ass. Everybody talks about it, and I'm the first one to admit it too. I work on these things a lot, and it is a pain in the ass. So hopefully you can see it down there, the bolt sticking out of it right there. You got 3 of those bolts holding that cover on. And here's the modification that I do. See these hoses and wire loom? Usually they're all zip tied together. So I cut those zip ties, and I'm able to push my hand, force those out of the way, and then use my ratchet wrench and get in there and take those bolts off, no problem. I've seen other people's videos where they talk about removing the bed, the strut and everything on the bed. It's another video on somebody talking about, doing an oil change yourself, don't taking it to the dealership. And they remove all the seat backs here. I'm sure they take these out because they end up taking these back panels off. And then there's an access panel behind the middle seat there that allows you to get to the oil filter from the front side of it. But those hoses are still in the way, and even in the video they talk about having to use somebody else to hold those hoses out of the way while you take the oil filter cover off. So I usually don't have the luxury of having somebody else here in the shop just sitting around waiting for me to do an oil change, and so they can move those hoses out of the way. So again, that's why I've done that little modification, cut a couple zip ties out of the way, and it allows you to manipulate those, push them out of the way. And then again, I use the 8mm ratchet wrench. Seems to get in there just fine. And I'll see if I can show you that here, okay? It's probably gonna be difficult to show up on the video, but you can see that bolt back in there. I mean, you can get on it right there, you know, and just turn it with the normal ratchet in. But, and again, I've already done this one halfway, you know, so it's pretty easy to get to. But you can see how you could get right here and then just manipulate that one. The one on the far side, driver's side, that's even a little bit easier. You just got to stick your hand all the way in. The only other one that is a little bit tight and a little awkward, I guess I should say, is the bottom one. So hopefully that helps everybody. Like I say, I know it's a pain in the ass. It's one thing that I dislike about these machines compared to a Polaris. Polaris seems to make it easy for a DIY person to change their oil. So there you go. Okay, so hopefully if you're changing your oil here yourself, you know, I don't need to show you how to take the drain plug out or, again, finish taking those bolts out. So we're going to skip to the next thing, which should be removing the clutch cover. And then we're going to blow out those clutches and do an inspection on them before we put a new belt on. Okay, on to the next thing. All right, so about 20 minutes or so, got the oil change and everything done. Now I'm going to move over here to the clutch housing. And again, just depends on where these are located. Those are 8mm. Sometimes you can get the impact gun in here. That's why I use the swivel, with short and long extension, because of variety of, sometimes you can get in here nice and straight, and on these back ones here, sometimes it just takes a little bit to get those off there. So I'm going to take that off and, like I say, inspect the belt. Probably going to go ahead and just replace it since he gave me a new one to put on there. I think he burned the other one up during track season earlier this year. So we'll go ahead and clean out the clutches, blow them all out, and put a new belt on. All right, everyone. Just got done putting the new belt on. Man, those clutches were dirty. One thing I kind of recommend is, you know, every couple of rides, depending on what kind of trail or, you know, mud, whatever it may be that you're riding in, pull that clutch cover off and blow those things out, man. This thing was horrible with just the powdery, you know, silty dirt that we ride on here in North Idaho. And it's 2,600 miles on this machine or so, and then it had never been blown out. So went ahead and did all that, put a new belt on there for him. I did find a couple of spots, like I was telling you, on the belt there. He did have tracks on this last year or earlier this year, as you guys probably saw in my other video, and definitely got the belt pretty hot and got some essentially kind of like flat spots in it. You can tell on the belt it'll be pretty shiny and even kind of have a concave feel to it when you run your hand around that. So good thing he got an extra belt. He always carries a spare anyway in that spare belt holder that we put underneath the driver's seat. But now we move that one into the clutch housing, and then the belt that he just provided me will go into that spare housing. The other thing I wanted to make mention of here is, since I had it out, air compressor and all that, I went ahead and took the air filter off here. So it's got these three little retainers. Just pull that, each one of those, the cover comes off. Man, that thing was just as bad. So filter maintenance and the clutch housing maintenance as well. Man, just, you'll get so much more out of these things. You won't have to replace the rollers as often. and the weights, because they won't get stuck if there's not that dust and brake belt dust and everything in there. So definitely something to do there. Okay, so now we'll move up here, and I'm going to run through, again, like I said, just kind of a quick run through on this machine, make sure all the grease certs are greased, and again, kind of make sure everything's ready for him to come pick it up and go hunting with it. All right. If I have anything else of importance, I'll definitely keep recording. Thanks for watching. Okay, so one thing I thought of, I'll show you here in the manual, 2021, page 83, depending on what display you have. So if you have a limited, page 83 is where it's at. You have a 7.5-inch display. If you have one of the other models, then you can flip back here a little bit to the 4.5-inch display, and it'll tell you how to reset the required or maintenance required. So as we come through here, we're going to notice when I turn the ignition on, it's going to have this little wrench showing, and it says it's going to come on, indicating that maintenance is required. See your authorized CanAm dealer or person of your own choosing for the maintenance. And that usually comes on when you need an oil change. So according to this, we're going to go right over here where it says maintenance reset, and we're using the menu button. We're going to select RES maintenance and hold to reset maintenance. So let's try that. I'm going to turn the key on. And there it is, maintenance required. So I'm going to push the menu button. It does not say reset maintenance. So let's go into settings, reset maintenance. Now we're going to press and hold menu button. There you go. That's where it is. Okay, so we'll exit out of that, turn the key off. Probably should put this up into park. And then we'll turn the key back on, and you see that little wrench with the circle around it is now off. So that is how you reset the maintenance required, I guess, notification and the wrench light when that comes on. And that's on the newer machines that have the 7.6-inch display. So hopefully that helps you guys. I know I've looked a couple of times trying to find it, and everybody that I saw anyway had the smaller 4.5-inch display. So evidently the process is the same. You go to the menu and you find reset maintenance, but in this instance here, I had to go into the settings first and then actually find that reset maintenance, and then press and hold the menu button, and it reset it. So hopefully it helps everybody.